Hello and welcome to another episode of The Losers Win Again here on YouTube. I am your host, Jacob Brown, and we're here to talk about stacks, ladies and gentlemen, for the Week 1 slate. So here's your top five. And before we get into these stacks, I really want to stress the importance of stacking again. We went over that in our last video. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, I go in way into depth for 10 or 15 minutes talking about the importance of stacking. We'll go over it briefly, but if you want a full explanation of why stacks are so important, watch my last video. It really will help you. But let's just go over some importance for stacking purposes before we get into the juice and meat of this Week 1 slate. 3 days left, guys. 3 days. So excited. So the importance of stacking, we'll just go over it briefly. Look, stacking is vital in daily fantasy football, especially in tournaments. You got to do it, guys. Stacking is when you roster 2 or more players from the same team in hopes that those players from a strong offensive team will help you reach big numbers and cash. The best way to know what games to stack are high point total games, which we're going to go over these high point total games in this video. So pay attention to that. Run back options from the opposite team is a must to succeed in tournaments. Guys, you can stack Tom Brady, Mike Evans all you want. But if they're the highest point total game in the week, you're going to want a run back option from that game. So, for instance, Tom Brady's playing the Cowboys this week. The Buccaneers are playing the Cowboys this week. So, if you really let's say this was a Sunday main slate, and you really like Tom Brady, and you really wanted to play Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in a 3v1 stack, which we're going to go over in a minute, you got to have a run back option from this Cowboys game. And highest point total on the week, you're going to want it. Either guys like Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott. You got to have run back options to be successful. Very important to do. Now, to me, in my personal opinion, 3v1 stacks are most vital in single entry tournaments and large field GPPs. So, what is a 3v1 stack? It's where you have a quarterback and 2 pass catchers, either a wide receiver, tight end, running back, with 1 pass catcher from the opposing team, wide receiver, tight end, running back. Very important to do in tournaments. You got to do it. Now, there's also another one that I like to do, but I don't do it for every team. I do it for specific games that I think could go the distance and could be a back and forth battle, could be the highest point scoring total on the day. I don't know if I'm going to do it this week or not. I've thought about it, but super stacks can be vital as well in the high point total games, the games you think are going to go back and forth, which is very vital, but you got to pick it right. So super stacks are 3v2s, which means a QB, 2 pass catchers, wide receiver, tight end, running back, with 2 pass catchers from the opposing team and wide receiver, tight end, running back. Like I said, guys, be careful when you're doing that style. Sometimes it can blow up in your face, but I've succeeded in it before. Plan on succeeding in it again. So those are the only 2 styles I personally like to do. But something that you got to do in any stack you do is a mini 1v1 stack. So we talked about stacking. So let's say, for instance, you still got Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and you're running it back with CeeDee Lamb. You got some position holes still in your lineup. Look for another high point total game. Like, for instance, if you really like the Titans versus the Cardinals, and you want a little 1v1 stack within your huge stacks, maybe go with like DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Brown in your 1v1. And in some cases, you can do more than 1v1. In your lineup, it just kind of depends on the salary, but you can for sure do one set of 1v1s. And that's very important as well. If you like a secondary game, you want to put that in with your big stacks, because that just brings more potential, more value, more high scoring opportunity into your lineup, and it's very important. And all in all, these tips will improve your success in large field single entry GPPs. It's very important, guys, and I've just gone over this briefly, but if you want a deeper dive into that, like I said, go watch my last video. It really explains it a lot better. But let's go ahead and move on to what we all been waiting for. And here are my top 5 stacks of week 1. The first game we're going to attack is the Cheifs versus the Browns. They got a 54.5 point projected over-under. And that's of Friday morning. These over-unders can change willy-nilly all the way up till Sunday morning. But I believe on the Sunday DraftKings main slate, this will stay the highest over-under on the entire slate of games we got to look forward to Sunday. So this is the game I want to attack the most right now. Great stacking options, great run back options, great game environment, good offense team, good versus a good defensive team. This should be one of the best games of the week. And here are my Cheifs stacking options. So the Chiefs stacking options for week 1 simply go. We already know we're playing Patrick Mahomes, guys. He's best quarterback in the league. Great upside this week. Think he's going to go low own. We got some ownership to look forward to in the next couple of days. Patrick Mahomes, you got to play him in these Chiefs stacks. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, the usual suspects. You got to play those guys. And then, this is where it gets interesting for me. So, how in a tournament, you want 30% Patrick Mahomes. How are you going to get there by just playing Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill? No, you do those 3v1 stacks I was telling you about. Stack Travis Kelce with Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. I want to talk about Byron Pringle for a second. Byron Pringle, I believe, is a better value than Demarcus Robinson as of right now. I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity than Demarcus Robinson, just from what we've seen in preseason and what we've heard out of training camp. Byron Pringle looks to be the number 4 receiver on this squad here. So, look, you don't want to play Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson in a stack with Patrick Mahomes. This is my advice, and this is what I'm going to do. So, you want Travis Kelce and Mecole Hardman. You want Travis Kelce, Demarcus Robinson. You want Travis Kelce and Byron Pringle. Don't ever stack Hardman with Robinson. Don't ever stack Hardman with Pringle. Always have one of these big 2 guys here. in your stacks. So if you're doing a 3v1, always have Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill in it, or both. Don't ever have these three bottom guys within your stacks. And my final thoughts on this is, in a week with so much value, it's definitely possible to get Kelce and Hill in a viable lineup together. Something I'm going to do for sure. And I hope you guys do it as well. Now, we got the Cleveland Browns run back options. There's some good ones in here, guys. We're going to start off with Nick Chubb. I really like Nick Chubb in this game. I can see a version of this game where maybe Cleveland gets out early, and it's going to be probably because Nick Chubb runs it down the Chiefs' throat in the end zone. Nick Chubb looks to be somebody that's going to go a bit underlooked because you got guys like Austin Eckler in this price range. You got guys like Aaron Jones in this price range that are going to be higher on than Nick Chubb. And this is how stacking helps your ownership. We don't really know the ownerships yet. We got a couple more days before we really see the ownerships. But this is how you get low-owned stacks. When you're playing a big GPP with 150 lineups, this is how you get different, guys. Patrick Mahomes is going to probably be low-owned from what I've seen so far. Nick Chubb's probably going to be low-owned from what I've seen so far. You get a low-owned opportunity, and that's where those 1v1 mini stacks come in, and you can draft some higher-owned guys with those 1v1s. So let's go ahead and move on. Nick Chubb, good play. Jarvis Landry, 6K. I've seen a lot of different opinions on this Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. Thing. I've seen some projections where OBJ is ranked higher than Jarvis Landry, and I've seen some projections where they're ranked about the same, or maybe Jarvis Landry a little higher. But as of right now, I like Jarvis Landry. Baker Mayfield, I think he has a better rapport with Jarvis Landry. When Odell Beckham Jr. is on the field, it's a little different for both receivers. But look, guys, one of these guys is going to get targets. One of these guys is going to get some good receiving yards, and we hope one of them gets a touchdown. I like both, and you better believe I'm going to be playing both in this high-scoring over-under. And then you get to running back Kareem Hunt. Now, Jacob, how can you like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? Well, look, Nick Chubb, he's the rusher. He's going to rush. They're not going to throw him the ball. You might get lucky that he gets 2 targets and maybe catches 1. 1 target and catches 1. I don't see Nick Chubb catching the ball very much. But Kareem Hunt, he is a playmaker, guys. He can catch the ball just as good as OBJ, just as good as Jarvis Landry, and he's got running upside as well. He's the backup running back, so he's going to have to run a little bit. He's going to catch the ball a little bit, and we hope he catches one of those balls in the end zone, and you hope that you roster him to get there. Kareem Hunt, definitely a play, in my opinion. Now, we get to tight end Austin Hooper. I'm not super excited to play him, and I just don't know, guys, because you got David Njoku behind him, and you also got that Harrison Bryant that kind of broke out last year. But Austin Hooper looks to be healthy. He looks to be back in the starting lineup. They're paying him a lot of money to be there. I definitely wouldn't play him in a lineup that I'm playing Travis Kelce in. I don't really like playing tight ends in the flex. If you want to do it, go for it. But that's just not my cup of tea. But I'll have a little Austin Hooper. Not a lot, but a little bit. And lastly, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Guys, this guy's popping in the projections I got. He's definitely a good, cheap option to stack up if you're wanting to play Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in the same lineup. This might end up being one of my favorite run back options just because of how cheap he is. He's going to be the third string wide receiver. Expect him to get 3 to 5 targets. He's a big play guy. Baker Mayfield likes him. The coaching staff likes him. I like him. And he's someone I'm going to roster in my lineups for week 1. Now, we move on to, personally, my favorite game of the week, Titans versus Cardinals. They got a 52-point projected over-under. Very juicy game, guys. Something I'm ready to play. So let's talk about it. I really like the Titans stacking options. There's not a lot of depth on this team in the receiving core. There's not a lot of depth on this team in the tight end spot, and there's not a lot of depth for the running back position on this team. This is a very tight-knit team. They're healthy right now, so we got to take advantage of these opportunities. So, of course, you're playing Ryan Tannehill if you're stacking the Tennessee Titans. A.J. Brown, great receiver. This could be his breakout year, too. I think Julio Jones is going to do great things for A.J. Brown's career because you're doubling Julio or you're doubling A.J. Brown and the other one's going to be open. Great opportunities against a subpar Arizona defense. I really like what I see in these games, and it's something I'm definitely going to be ready to attack. Julio Jones, just like what I just said about A.J. Brown, they're going to help each other. I think this is a great signing by Tennessee, bringing in a veteran like Julio Jones. He's still got a lot left in the tank. I am a little concerned about his projection on the sites that I've seen, and I'm also a little concerned about the injuries he's dealt with in training camp. He's projected to play this week, but that's something to keep an eye on. I like A.J. Brown more than I like Julio Jones at these price points. We don't have a good idea on ownership yet, but I have an idea that A.J. Brown will be higher owned than Julio Jones, but there's other things more that could surprise me than Julio Jones being higher owned than A.J. Brown. And that's just something we got to wait on, but we'll get back to it. Josh Reynolds, someone I'm not really super interested in playing. Like I said, guys, I think they only got 4 receivers in the depth chart. So very small receiving core. Josh Reynolds could get some work if Julio Jones needs to take a breather. I'm not really super excited about Josh Reynolds. He came from the Rams offense last year. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. I'm sure he wishes he was still with the Rams. He's somebody I really want to get to, but as of right now, he's a lower-owned guy in my stacking options. Then we get to tight end Anthony Firkser. Anthony Firkser is somebody that I'm super interested in, and I've been on him in best ball drafts, season-long drafts, any draft you can think of. Anthony Firkser is somebody that I've been wanting to get. With this smaller receiving core, they've got to rely on this tight end. And every time I saw Anthony Firkser in a game last year, he was out running routes. I really like his opportunity in week 1, and his price is just way too cheap, guys. This guy could end up being in the 4K range, 4,500 next week. So you definitely got to get on him while the price is right. And then we get to running back Derrick Henry. Guys, he's just good. And we've seen last year was a good example of weeks we saw a Ryan Tannehill stack with Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown or so on. I don't like it because he doesn't catch the ball a lot. But when he does, he gets pretty big yards per reception. So Derrick Henry is a sneaky stacking option, somebody I want to get to. Titans are favorites. They're going to have Derrick Henry involved. And I really like these options, and these are guys I will be stacking with the Ryan Tannehill in week 1. So, what are his run back options? Well, it's simple. DeAndre Hopkins is by far the best run back option on the Arizona Cardinals. Get to Chase Edmonds, somebody, I'm not really super excited about, but I will get some Chase Edmonds in my Titans run backs. Then you get Christian Kirk, someone else. At his price point, I'm just not really excited about. If he was in the 3K range, like the other two receivers in AJ Green and Rondale Moore, I would have a bit more interest. But right now, Christian Kirk, 4,500, not somebody I'm super into stacking, but I will have some just because he's got some opportunity there. It's a little unknown what Christian Kirk's role on this team is now with the newly acquired AJ Green and the newly acquired Rondale Moore. We just got to wait and see, but I will be playing some Christian Kirk. AJ Green, same kind of thing. He's new to the offense. Heard some decent things about him in the preseason. I really want to see what he's going to do. 3,800, I'm going to play him. I might not feel great about it, but Christian Kirk and AJ Green, I kind of feel the same about. But then we move on to Rondale Moore, the rookie, at 3K. Somebody, my second favorite option, other than DeAndre Hopkins, is Rondale Moore. Somebody I'm going to get to a lot in other lineups as well. The sky's the limit for him, and I really hope he succeeds in week 1. Now, we move on to the Packers versus the Saints and a 50-point projected over-under. Somebody I'm super excited about in this game is just playing Aaron Rodgers with his Green Bay stack. So let's get on to it and talk about it. Packer stacking options are kind of big. Something I want to keep an eye on here is these guys at the bottom. But you already know your usual suspects. From what we saw last year, when you're stacking the Packers, you want Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan. The three guys, Adams, Jones, Tonyan, those are the keys to your stacks. Now, when you get to the last three in Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, and MVS, Martez, Valdez, Scantling, it gets a little more tricky. I like, out of the three, I prefer Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, then MVS. MVS has big play speed. Allen Lazard, on the depth chart right now, is the wide receiver 2. I think Randall Cobb is going to get most of the slot action. And like I've said in previous videos when covering the Packers, I really think Aaron Rodgers first came back with Randall Cobb. He's going to make it a point to get him involved. They're back together again. I think he's excited about that. So I really think Randall Cobb's going to be made a big target for Aaron Rodgers. That's just my game theory. And you got to create a little game theory in your head when you're rostering these tournament lineups. So Randall Cobb is my favorite out of those bottom three. And then Allen Lazard, then MVS. But don't sleep on MVS. He's got some big playability. Depends on how much ownership you want in these stacks. But that's the way I got it ordered. And that's the way I like it. Now we move on to the Saints run back options. And guys, Alvin Kamara just looks great. He's looking better and better every day leading up to Sunday. I really like him. I want as much Alvin Kamara as I can get. Great playmaker, great catcher, great runner of the football. He won't run very much, but when he does, it's effective. And Sean Payton's very calculated when he's making these attempts to get Kamara the ball. Something we need to note that we just saw before recording this video. I woke up this morning and saw Latavius Murray being cut from the New Orleans Saints. I don't know how much running upside will this give Alvin Kamara for week 1, but that's something to keep an eye on. He might get a little more rushing volume. Then we move to Tre'Quan Smith. Out of all the receivers here, he's probably my least favorite right now. 4,900. He's been banged up all training camp, all preseason. I'm going to roster him because the coaching staff likes him. I think this is his 3rd year with the team, 3rd or 4th year. They're going to try to get him involved, in my opinion. Jameis Winston likes him. You got to roster him a little bit, but I'm way more excited to roster Marquez Callaway at this price. One of the best values on the slate at 3,400. He's got that big breakaway speed. He's wearing the number 1 on his jersey. He wants to be number 1, guys. And this is a very interesting wide receiver battle between Tre'Quan Smith and Marquez Callaway. I'm on the Callaway train as of right now. He's got some good opportunity. Then we get to Deontay Harris. Don't know much about him. But again, cheap price point. 3rd receiver on the depth chart. Somebody you want a little bit of. I'm not going to overly expose him. But Deontay Harris, 3,200. You can't pass it, guys. Especially if you're playing in these large field tournaments. You want a little Deontay Harris. You don't know how this game could go. You got to have backup plans. And Deontay Harris is a backup plan. For a guy like Jameis, I don't know how much Jameis is going to throw the ball this week. He could throw the ball, be conservative like Sean Payton likes, or he could let it run. I mean, what if he just got real accurate being behind Drew Brees the last 2 seasons or last season? He could have gotten more accurate. We'll see. It's exciting to watch. One of my games I really want to watch this week is this Packers-Saints game. And then last but not least, we got the tight end, Adam Trotman, 2,900. Like I said earlier in the video, I really like Alvin Kamara. I like him more and more every day. But the opposite is for Adam Trotman. The more I make lineups, the more I look at projections, I just keep decreasing Adam Trotman's value. He's a little banged up. He could go a little bit overlooked now that we're getting closer to Sunday. I'm going to roster him a little bit, but I'm just not as high on him as I once was. So, those are the stacking options for the Saints. Really like it. Now, we move on to the Falcons versus the Eagles, and they got a 48-point projected over-under. Look, guys, this is going to be one of those games that you really want to watch at 12 o'clock. Of course, if you can't watch Tennessee and Arizona and you got to watch another game, Falcons, Eagles, it's the second best game in the 12 o'clock time frame, in my opinion. Great game environment. Very exciting questions that need to be answered from both teams. So let's go ahead and look at these stacking options for the Falcons and the Eagles. When you look at the Falcons, of course, Matt Ryan is going to be your guy. Look, Matt Ryan's got potential to get 300-plus yards and that 300-yard bonus on DraftKings on any given Sunday. He's a guy that can throw the ball 30, 40, 50 times. They weren't very confident in the running game last year. I think they've upgraded their running back depth this year more than the last few years. I think they got a little more consistency and more reliability in Mike Davis, Wayne Gallman. But yeah, the Falcons are meant to throw the ball. They're gonna throw the ball as much as possible, and that's why you want Calvin Ridley. Guys, Calvin Ridley could be the best receiver in week 1. If it's not Devontae Adams, if it's not DeAndre Hopkins, I can really see Calvin Ridley breaking the slate. No Julio Jones. He's just a great option. He's going to get targeted. He's going to get yards. He's hopefully going to score a touchdown. I don't see anybody on this Eagles defense that's going to stop Calvin Ridley. And that also brings us to Russell Gage. Russell Gage, no Julio Jones. This might be the cheapest we see Russell Gage all season long. Gage could easily rocket up. 5,300 is a steal. And it's somebody you want to pair with Calvin Ridley. Very interested to see what Russell Gage does in week 1. Now we move on to Kyle Pitts. And guys, Kyle Pitts is just getting insane love by the DFS community right now. Probably going to be the highest owned tight end on the slate. I'm not saying it's a mistake, but something that I'm trying to veer off of a little bit. I like Kyle Pitts. I hope he has a great career. But right now, he is a rookie in his first NFL game. We only saw him in 2 snaps, I think, in the preseason. Something you got to be careful with. If you're rostering Falcons, of course you got to play some Kyle Pitts. I'm not telling you not to play him, but I wouldn't make him the priority. I would make Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage the main priorities, then Kyle Pitts, and then Mike Davis, 5,400. He's right now, in my opinion, he's the best cheap running back value on the slate. You got some cheaper guys under him, but in my opinion, he's the best cheapest value on the slate at 5,400. He's got some catching upside, as we saw last year in Carolina. He's a good workhorse back, especially early in the season. He's got some fresh legs. Definitely somebody I want to roster with this Falcons stack. Now we move on to the Eagles run back options, and I'm not really excited about these Eagles guys like a lot of you are. Jalen Hurts has got to answer a lot of questions for me leading into week 1. Devontae Smith, somebody I do want to roster at 4,500. If you're playing Falcons stacks and you got to run back somebody, Devontae Smith is the number 1 option. But personally, I like Jalen Reagor better. Second year with the team. I know it's a new coaching staff, so things could change up a little bit. No more Travis Fulgham. No Deshaun Jackson. No Alshon Jeffrey. Jalen Reagor's going to get opportunities, guys. He's cheaper. Not by a lot, but he's cheaper. And I personally think he's got some great opportunity for week 1, and he could potentially be the better option. So roster these guys equally, if you ask me. Roster them together if you're doing Jalen Hurts stacks. Then we get a preseason darling in Quez Watkins. Like I said before, no Travis Fulgham, no Deshaun Jackson, no Alshon Jeffrey. Quez Watkins, he made the cut, guys. No more J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. As of right now, he's the number 3 wide receiver on this team. And I'm not going to roster him a lot, but he's somebody I got a little interest in. Then we move on to the tight end duo of Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. And if you watched the Eagles last year, there was some games where both of these guys got in the end zone. Both of these guys were getting peppered with targets. So roster these guys accordingly. I told you early in the video when we were talking about the Cheifs that I don't like having a tight end in the flex. But I might make that exception for the Eagles run back options. If you're playing Jalen Hurts stacks, make the exception. Put Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz tight end flex. Give that a whirl. But that might be the only exception I'm willing to make in this week 1. But be careful with rostering this Eagles run backs. I like Jalen Reagor the best out of the wide receivers, and I like Dallas Goedert the best out of the tight ends. Now, we move on to the Vikings versus the Bengals. This point total has dropped 3 different times this week. I'm sure it has to do with Irv Smith being out and some other injuries we don't know about. I feel like since the salaries have came out for DraftKings, I feel like this game's been really hyped up, and it's just gotten lower and lower and lower in hype as we talk about the slate more and more. But I'm interested in this game, and I think you guys should too. So here's some stacking options for the Minnesota Vikings. It's pretty much the usual suspects from last year. We got Kirk Cousins at 6,300. He's a little overpriced in my opinion. I think he should be more where Matt Ryan's at, 6K, maybe 5'9", 5'8". Then you get Dalvin Cook, who I'm definitely comfortable in stacking with Kirk Cousins, with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Guys, these guys are going to go off. They definitely got to fill a void now that Irv Smith is not in their system. And I really thought Irv Smith was going to break out this year. It's a shame he got hurt. But they signed Chris Herndon, and we're going to talk about him for a second. Chris Herndon, I don't think he'll be super involved in week 1, in my opinion. I really like Tyler Conklin for week 1. He's going to be in my rosters. I'm not going to pay attention to Chris Herndon just yet, but he's got a chance of proving us wrong in week 1. If you want to roster him, you can roster him. It's just not for me this week. But yeah, guys, it's the same suspects from last year. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Tyler Conklin, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins. Pretty simple, straightforward. But this is where it gets interesting. Bengals run back options. I think these guys are just a little undervalued. We'll start out with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is going to have great volume, and I think he's going to be a part of this passing game this year. And a great way to start out is against the Minnesota Vikings, who had a pretty bad defense last year. We've heard they've improved. A lot of teams in the offseason say they've improved in the spots that they weren't that good in last year. What does improve mean? Does that mean you're like 5th worst instead of 2nd worst now? 10th worst instead of 2nd worst now? I don't know. But what I do know is Joe Mixon's going to have a lot of opportunities for week 1, and he's definitely somebody I'm going to roster. Then you get to Tyler Boyd at 5,200. Out of the 3 wideouts, he's probably the most overpriced. I see why people like him. Joe Burrow likes him. I think Jamar Chase is a value that I'm just not that interested in at that price. He's a rookie. He should be 3K just like Elijah Moore. He should be 3K just like Rondale Moore, Amara St. Brown, Terrace Marshall. I think they're overhyping this guy. I'm going to have some of them, of course, but he's probably the least owned out of these 3 receivers that I'm going to get to. And D. Higgins is obviously the favorite. And I think a lot of people are realizing that now, looking at projections. We got some ownership to wait on for these 3 receivers, but if I had to say the order of ownership, it would probably be T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, then Jamar Chase. But some of you guys are really hyped up on these rookie wide receivers, but it's just not for me. And that pretty much covers it, guys. I hope you got some information from this video. I hope you guys are starting to build your stacks like we talked about in the previous video. Grab you a notebook. Write down your quarterback. Write down your receiver. Write down your other receiver and write down your run back option from the opposing team. Start out that way, then fill in the rest of your roster with those 1v1 stacks where we're talking about. But just have fun with it, guys. Week 1's a week to have fun with it. Don't take it super serious. Have a good time. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more videos coming out. I am your host, Jacob Brown, and we will be back next time as the losers win again.